You may be seated. It is my absolute pleasure this morning to welcome one and all to the lawns of the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, and to bring you up to speed with this whole business of our celebration for World Bee Day, which we are celebrating today. Honorable Franklin Witter, our Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Mr. Hugh Smith, Chief Plant Protection Officer, and the person who we're going to invite to bring prayers for us, Miss Marcia Johnson, Country Director, Partners of the Americas, Jamaica Farmer to Farmer Program, Mr. Julian Spence, my namesake, he must be my brother. And if that Spence have any connection with Westmoreland, I guarantee you, well, it's the same region. I guarantee you that's where the Spence are founded, originated, and grounded. So we should link up to see how we trace that connection. Mr. Naki Hado, am I getting that pronunciation right? Mr. Hado, Director of Agriculture and Fisheries, Food for the Poor. Bee farmers across Jamaica, and I'm going to be giving some further acknowledgement as we proceed, because I understand that apart from the small number that is here, there's over 200 persons that are participating online. And so we are going to take our time to give them the recognition that is due as we progress in the program. Our special invited guest, and I suspect that these persons may be also the persons who are have established displays at the back, and later on we'll acknowledge those who are displaying here today. Members of the media, we can't leave them out. We love them when they do nice things and get very unhappy with them when they say bad things, but Jamaica is a country that is renowned for its freedom of the press, and so we want them here to cover and capture what we're doing and to report well on our performance and to keep us in line when things are not going right too. And all the persons who have joined us online and are participating in today's activity, we welcome you all, ladies and gentlemen. A pleasant good morning. Now, I'm going to ask Mr. Smith, as I had indicated, our Chief Plant Protection Officer in the Apiculture Unit, to come and bring prayers for us as we proceed with our celebrations. Mr. Smith.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let us have a word of prayer. O most Heavenly Father, we from this situation here at this launch do invite you into our presence. As we say, be engaged. Celebrate the bees in terms of what they have been doing for us in this country. We do ask you, dear Father, to protect each and every one under this tent, under this mission, under this launch for today. Guide the presenters, guide the farmers, guide the producers in this country as we go forward. Do let us have an excellent day, dear Lord, and let us all be aware and increase our knowledge in terms of what our honeybees and other bees have been doing for us today. Thank you, Lord, and we do bless and have a great day today. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Your other calling is beckoning to you. You better take it up soon. No time to spare. We thank you. Under the theme, Be Engaged, celebrating the diversity of bees and beekeeping systems, The ministry is pleased to join the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in celebrating World Bee Day. This day is aimed at focusing our attention on the role these small insects, important insects, bees, and other beekeeping systems, the way we manage these things, plays in improving our food security and livelihood. You'll be surprised. You're going to hear a lot today, especially for people like some of us who don't know anything about bees. I'm afraid of them so much, yet still you want the honey for drink. You like the sweet, but you don't want the sting. World Bee Day has been celebrated worldwide since 2017. I believe this is the first time that Jamaica is actually formally recognizing the day and celebrating it this way. Am I correct, Mr. Smith? Right, so we should give ourselves a round of applause for this initiative. But even as we do so, to tell us more about it and how we got to this point where we choose as a country to really celebrate and recognize it, I'm going to ask Mrs. Carla Douglas, our Principal Research Director from Bodles. Well, it's not Bodles, it's about 5 research stations we have, and she's the person that is in charge of all of them. So, Miss Douglas, please come forward and tell us about it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, our Permanent Secretary, Sir Dermot Spence, to our Minister of State, Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Honorable Franklin Whittle, all our invited guests, our Chief Technical Director, Mr. Orville Palmer, the Acting CEO of RADA, Mrs. Marina Young, Miss Marsha Johnson, Country Director, Partners of the Americas in the Jamaica Farmer to Farmer program, Mr. Mike McLaughlin, co-founder, Trees That Feed Foundation, Mr. Julian Spence, President of the Kingston and St. Andrew Bee Farmers Association, Mr. Haddo, Manager of Agriculture and Fisheries for the Department for Food for the Poor, and Miss Kivette Silvera, the Co-Executive Director for Food for the Poor, all our guests on our virtual platform, the media, all my colleagues from this ministry, good morning, good morning, good morning. Now, World Bee Day is celebrated every year on the 20th of May. But as we celebrate, did you know that a honeybee visits 50 to 100 flowers during a collection trip? Did you know that? Did you know that the natural fruit sugars in honey, that's fructose and glucose, that they're quickly digested by the body, and that is why sportsmen, sportswomen, and athletes use honey to give them a natural energy boost? Did you know that bees are one of our major pollinators and that they are one of the major contributors to ecosystem services worldwide? Now, it is while pondering the value of the honeybee and their benefit to human life as well as wildlife that the idea of a World Bee Day was conceived on September 15, 2014 by a Slovenian beekeeper with the name Boštjan Nok of the Slovenian Beekeepers Association. Now, Slovenia is a country in Europe, and they are known as the pioneers of beekeeping. In fact, Slovenians' unofficial national motto is, and I quote, "Land of the good beekeepers," end of quote. Now, they are known as the wealthiest Slavic nation worldwide. And they like to boast that they take their work ethic from the honeybee. Now, May was chosen as the month to celebrate World Bee Day because in the Northern Hemisphere, the greatest need for pollination is during this time. While in the Southern Hemisphere, it is the time for actually harvesting the honey and the bee products. Now, in celebrating World Bee Day, we are demonstrating our appreciation of the value of this species. We are recognizing that every third spoonful of the world's food relies on bees and other pollinators. As we celebrate World Bee Day, we are taking responsibility for the fact that bees are increasingly endangered and that almost no longer able to survive without our intervention and support. And we are pledging to do our part. Now, World Bee Day celebrations worldwide tend to include setting up pollinator farms for bees and other pollinators, planting nectar-bearing flowers, supporting the producers of honey and other hive products, preserving fields that have a wide array of flowering flowers, using pesticides that do not harm bees, and I cannot stress this enough. And when we do have to use these pesticides, we're spraying them in windless weather and at the appropriate time of day. World Bee Day celebrations worldwide also include alerting all our contacts on our social media platforms as to the importance of our bees. Now, the apiculture unit of the Research and Development Division, which is a part of the Technical Directorate of this ministry, this unit is mandated to provide research, regulatory, and extension services for the local apiculture or beekeeping industry. And they are responsible today for highlighting the need to celebrate one of the major ecosystem service providers, one of the world's major pollinators. So, as I close, the next time you see one of these little creatures that sometimes we run from, when we hear their characteristic buzzing sound, you will remember that bees must gather nectar from 2 million flowers to make 1 pound of honey. You will remember that they fly about 90,000 miles, which is equivalent to 3 times around the globe to make that 1 pound of honey. And you will remember that they are a major contributor to our food security. So, next time we celebrate World Bee Day, please remember to be engaged, because the theme is be engaged, celebrating the diversity of bees and beekeeping systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miss Douglas, Mrs. Douglas. I didn't realize that we measure food production in spoonful. It seemed to me it's a kind of new approach. I would like a plate full rather than a spoonful. Or they have something they call daily requirement, something like that. But I hear you with the spoonful. Maybe it's the honey principle. You know, a tablespoon or a teaspoon with some garlic and all this thing. One of the properties that you seem to miss, though, that I hear them boast about is the aphrodisiac properties. I didn't hear that one come up at all. Everybody want the what they want, Mr. Smith? All these different sections. They want the royal jelly. They want the pollen. Oh? Well, you know it all, but you chose to come up here and miss that very important one. I don't get it. I hear it better than chocolate, even fine wine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate Bees Day, I want to recognize some more persons who are joining us and who are online. Mr. Julian Spence was recognized already, but Mr. Alexander Beckford, manager for the National Tree Program at the Forestry Department. Mr. Beckford, you're here? Or you're online? Might be online. Huh? Mike and Mary McLaughlin. They are virtual participants, but you know they are the principals behind the Trees That Feed Foundation. Dr. Powell, Alexander Powell from the Agro-Invest Corporation. He runs these agro-parks that need the bees to survive inside of them to enhance productivity. Of course, Mrs. Young was mentioned already from RADA, but Mr. Anthony Mitchell, the agricultural officer for the Jamaica 4-H clubs, as well as Mr. Damart Williams and team, Senior Director, Eastern Zonal Operations, again from the Forestry Department. And I'll close off this section of recognition with Miss Kivette Silverio, the Co-Executive Director for Food for the Poor. I will, as I proceed, recognize some more persons. But at this point in time, we're going to invite you to view a video presentation with us. And I guess this one is going to walk you through the importance and significance of bees. And being ahead, being busy, and be everything.
The importance of bees is that they are crucial to our food system. So from almonds all the way to zucchini, if we don't have good, healthy honeybees, we won't have good, healthy crops. I was just settling in to start watching the movie. It was cut short. I could do a little more on that video. I see everybody was gearing up to see a little something more. Yes, but ladies and gentlemen, what is coming out and what is to be known is that the bees are one of the hardest working creatures on the planet, and are of benefit to people and natural ecosystems around us. They carry pollen grains from one flower to the other every day. They're going back and forth. And these help in the production of all the fruits and nuts and seeds, and contributing, of course, significantly to food security and nutrition. Somebody want to ask a question. They said, did you know that there's almost 20,000 different species of bees in the world? I didn't know that, although I know something, a little something about agriculture. It's still 20? No new ones discovered recently?
It's up for debate.
Eh?
It's up for debate.
I gather that there are some new ones, and therefore it might well be over 20,000 by this. While most of us might be familiar with the honeybee, the one that we know about around the place, some of the other types are the bumblebee. Some people say they know the bumblebee. Leaf cutter, mason bees, digger bees, carpenter bees, and mining bees. I watched a movie with the wicked one, the African killer bees or something like that. Huh? Oh, that one there is wicked. If you want to see a bad bee, just look at that movie. Well, we are delighted, as I had expressed, to have some of our partners with us. And I was sitting and still continue to sit beside one. As she come to the podium, I'll miss her when I take my seat. I now invite Miss Marsha Johnson, Country Director, Partners of the Americas Jamaica Farmer Program, to bring us remarks. Please make her welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Spence. I can imagine that he had a whole tablespoon of honey this morning. His mouth is so sweet. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, COVID and otherwise, distinguished members of the panel, distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the audience, distinguished ladies and gentlemen online, a pleasant good morning to you. All right, today, ladies and gentlemen, I pause to thank the Food and Agriculture Organization for designating May 20 as World Bee Day, and to the Ministry of Agriculture for ensuring that, as this year theme says, we are being engaged in these discussions around the protection and the preservation of our bees. Our Jamaican bees, many times they say, I call them our Jamaican bees. The technocrats will correct me, Mr. Smith, and say they are European. Right. But they are our smallest, yet they are one of our most vital livestock on this beautiful island of wood and, yes, water. And to the powers that be, bees do need water too. Right. Our bees have been playing a very keen role in maintaining our biodiversity or reproduction of many of our plants, and they help to increase yields for many of our tropical crops through the process of pollination. We must never take for granted the vital contribution of our bees to the sustenance of the Jamaica agricultural sector. Mr. Spence alluded to that fact, but we should always remain proactive in preserving and mitigating against any potential threats to our honeybee stock. It is with this resilience factor in mind that the USAID's Farmer to Farmer program has partnered with the apiculture unit since April 2021. A little bit about Farmer to Farmer. The Farmer to Farmer program is a USAID funded program. It is a global technical assistance program implemented through Partners of the Americas in Washington, D.C. Our program focuses on rural adaptation, resilience, livestock, and aquaculture, which indeed we believe, I'm sure Mr. Hado from Food for the Poor will agree, some of the greatest growth potential for the agriculture sector. So on behalf of the Farmer to Farmer program, we extend our gratitude for the ongoing partnership that has been forged between ourselves and the apiculture unit through the dedicated and passionate leadership of Mr. Hugh Smith and his dedicated staff who provide extension service delivery to all our beekeepers in every single parish. Thanks to my team as well that works behind the scene and in the field in executing some of these trainings. Since 2021 and up to last week, where we looked at Africanized bees, same one we talk about in the movie, we have had non-stop planning and trainings with the apiculture unit. We have delivered many hours and weeks of seminars and practical demonstrations with active and new beekeepers who have participated either virtually or in person. And some of these topics that we have been teaching on include general agricultural practices, good practices in beekeeping, top bar hive systems, processing of honey, wax, yes, Mr. Spence, propolis, pollen, and royal jelly into value-added products. So we're on the ball. And we have also looked at rearing of queen bees using high-tech and low-tech method, which for us is very critical because for sustainability, just like you need a seed to plant, we need our queen bees as well. Our next training series with the apiculture unit commences on June 13, and this one in particular will be of national importance as we look critically at the very important topic of Africanized bees. If you do your research, you will understand some of the hazards that are associated with Africanized bees. So this training will encompass sensitization of our workers at our ports of entry, our healthcare workers, and emergency response team. Mr. Smith is coordinating that. And at this point, I really want to pause to give the apiculture unit a round of applause for the tremendous work that they have been doing non-stop through the pandemic and ongoing back into the field. Right, but it's our interaction at Farmer to Farmer has now extended to the Department of Correctional Services, where we are working with them towards teaching some of their inmates and their staff towards rehabilitation and reintegration into society. And with me today, I have Mr. James Conley from the United States, who is working with the Department of Correctional Services in this regard. Right, ladies and gentlemen, the enthusiasm of our beekeepers, it's very much contagious, and they share openly their successes, likewise their failures, and they're a group that I think should be well recognized for being one of our great farmer organizations. They are doing tremendous work behind the scenes. So at the Farmer to Farmer program, we are delighted to continue this collaboration with the ministry, and we look forward to greater things in the months and years to come. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Please give her another round of applause. The Queen Bee herself. We're promoting you right away. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miss Johnson. We're going to be moving to a live video presentation, but before I do so, I'm going to recognize just a few more persons, if you bear with me. At this time, I want to acknowledge Mr. Cassidy Beckford and team, Project Development Officer from the San Diego Farm and Hardware Supplies Limited. And I will begin recognizing the Bee Farmers Association, because they are branches and they're all over the place across the entire island. But for executive management, Mr. Roy Wickham, a member of the executive for the Centon Bee Farmers Association. I want to recognize him. Farmers from the Centon Bee Farmers Association, Mr. Lennox Dean, member of the executive for the St. Catherine Bee Farmers Association. Mr. Carl Pummels, member of the executive St. Catherine Bee Farmers Association. Farmers of the St. Catherine Bee Farmers Association. Miss Kerry Ann Crosdale, member of the executive St. Mary Bee Farmers Association. Mr. Patrick Haywood, member of the executive of St. Mary Bee Farmers Association and the Bee Farmers Association of St. Mary. Farmers from Hanover, Kingston, Manchester, Portland, all farmers under the association. St. Thomas, Trelawney. Now you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that it's a very wide-ranging and very strong organization, and lots of farmers that extend across the entire island. And so with that recognition, at this point in time, I invite you to join us in hearing from the co-founder of Trees That Feed Foundation, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. Let's have that presentation.
Hi, I'm Mike McLaughlin, co-founder of Trees That Feed Foundation, along with my wife, Mary. And we're happy to participate in the celebration of World Bee Day. Trees That Feed Foundation, our mission is planting fruit trees to feed people, create jobs, and benefit the environment. So when you plant a fruit tree, the fruit feeds people, it leads to economic activity, and it provides all kinds of environmental benefits. So it cleans the air, cleans the water, binds the soil, and it provides habitat for small animals, birds, and of course, bees. Trees That Feed operates, we started first in Jamaica, but we now operate in 20 countries worldwide, so we're very international. We've planted hundreds of thousands of fruit trees, including over 100,000 in Jamaica alone. And so we're delighted to be able to participate. The goals that we have as an organization fit perfectly with World Bee Day. So we want to congratulate the Ministry of Agriculture of Jamaica and the entire team that's putting together this big celebration. So good luck on World Bee Day.
Ladies and gentlemen, bees are very important, and if we didn't know before, we all know now and continue to get knowledge on how they operate and how important they are. They not only contribute to pollination of wildflowers, but also to pollination of agriculture crops. I mentioned that before. But why is it significant, this business of pollination of agriculture crops? Because today we are hearing about the virtues of the bees and how it helps us. And we need to know what we can do to help the bees, because the greatest threat to the bee population is humans. So we need to understand what is it that we are doing that affects them, and why sometimes we complain about production and productivity and it's going down because of what we are doing without recognizing how we are harming bees. It is estimated that bees are not other pollinators, because you are also a pollinator, you know. You all sitting here, and there are animals, others out there who are pollinators. Pollinate almost 90% of the flowering plants and 70% of the world's main crops, food crops, agriculture crops. So we must protect them. Now, coming to us at this time with some brief remarks will be Mr. Julian Spence. You know, every time you call your own name, it sounds a little bit funny. It's as if you're talking to your father. Yes, Mr. Spence. Okay, Mr. Spence. But he's the president of the Kingston and St. Andrew Bee Farmers Association, and he will be followed by Miss Kivette Silveria, the co-executive director of Food for the Poor, an organization that we are all learning and are now acknowledging who has been working to empower our farmers in rural Jamaica through beekeeping. So please make both of them welcome.
I noticed, Mr. Smith, you're talking about father. I know, just because I have a lot of gray hair, you know. Mr. Spence, beg your pardon. Mr. Minister, Mr. Spence, Mr. Smith, and all the formalities. I noticed you asked me to be brief, so I shall push on quickly. I just want to thank, on behalf of the Kingston St. Andrew Beekeepers Association, for this event. I thank you very much for highlighting the importance of it, and for us to accept World Bee Day is something that we really need to bring to a higher level of importance, and it has a great effect on what we are trying to do as beekeepers in Jamaica. I think one of the important things that we need to always try and look at is what the bees do for us. And, you know, as you alluded to earlier on, people think about bees and they think about getting stung, or they think about honey. And those are two things that come first to mind. But bees do so much more, as you're already hearing, and you will hear about pollination. And that's one of the great things that we need to understand. So when Trees That Feed Foundation talk about the importance of planting trees, and the ministry has just very generously given us a lot of fruit trees to plant, we as bee farmers appreciate the support and the effort of the ministry in going down this road. You've helped us in this respect. You helped us giving us sugar to help feed the bees when we need to. So we're very appreciative of that. And I think it's extremely important to help people educate the wider population to the importance of bees, because people don't understand the significance of them and how dire it would be to us as a nation and as a world if there was a demise in the bees. I know that in first world countries where they have colony collapse and other things like that, it's become painfully obvious to them and the challenges that they're facing. So we now have to take advantage of the knowledge we get now, and to try and make sure that we take precautions to make sure that our akis and our guavas and our pomegranates and all the fruit trees that we love to eat, that we take care of them. The other thing too, you know, that comes to mind is that I hear a lot of people say, boy, they don't like bees. But I've never heard anybody say they don't like to eat. And they have to make those connections between eating and the bees. It's very important, and we just need to continue to try and educate people. One of the things that I have, I'm happy to share with you is that for my sins, I put my cell number related to the Kingston St. Andrew Beekeepers Association. And the amount of phone calls that I get on a weekly basis from private businesses, private residences, businesses, government offices saying, we have a swarm of bees at our office and we'd like to know if you can send somebody to remove them. And it's very encouraging, because in the past, they would be calling the pest control people to come and spray and kill them. And what we are happy about is that when I put this information into our WhatsApp group, there are always 3 or 4 beekeepers who are ready, organized, and willing to jump up, drive out there, get what they need to do, and get the bees out. And I'm so happy when I get calls from persons to say, I'm so happy that I called the association because the persons came there very professional. They did the job. Okay, they may have charged a little bit of money, but everybody was happy at the end of the day because the persons now had back free use of their house or business place. The farmer had a set of bees, and everybody was happy that a good job was done. So part of the education process is working, and we need to continue to do it. And events like this help in that regard. So as I said, I'll be brief, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm the shortest of them all, so I'll try to be very short. And the heels didn't work today either. Gave me probably a few inches. But I'm learning a lot, and I appreciate that because before today, I didn't know that there was a connection between eating and bees. And a few years ago, we had a sports event at our office in Spanish Town at Food for the Poor. And I was a part of a team, and we called ourselves the Bumblebees. So I'm represented again today because we had on yellow and black, right? Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Dermot Spence, Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Honorable Franklin Whittle, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, both in the audience and online, a pleasant good morning and happy World Bee Day. Let me begin by thanking the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries for the invitation to participate in today's activities as we celebrate World Bee Day 2022. We are truly delighted to be here because, like all the partners present with us today, Food for the Poor recognizes the important contributions of the apiculture industry as it relates to food security, nutrition, and the environment. This is the spark of our agriculture and horticulture industries. As a charity, we fully support and endorse the ministry's goal to spread awareness about beekeeping in Jamaica. Speaking of awareness, let me also use this opportunity to share how Food for the Poor Jamaica has been supporting the industry through the years. We have been assisting with beekeeping projects since 2006. I know many persons didn't know that, right? You didn't even know that Food for the Poor has an agriculture and fisheries division, right? That's why we have Mr. Hadu and all the team members under the booth that you please visit them after this ceremony. We thanks to our donors and partners, because we can't do it alone. Food for the Poor is a charity. So our donors and partners, we have completed a total of 51 beekeeping projects. These projects have benefited over 500 individual beekeepers and 8 institutions with startup apiaries. To date, over 5,000 colonies have been distributed through our program. According to the ministry's apiculture unit, the 500 beekeepers assisted would represent at least 10% over that period. Now, I'm sorry, I'm proud of the Food for the Poor family for contributing 10%. Thank you. Additionally, through our Fruits for the Poor initiative, we have planted over 10,000 fruit trees across the island since 2021. And that, based on what I also learned as well, the bees really enjoy when we're planting trees. And just in case you're wondering about the sustainability component of these projects, 3 of our beneficiaries have joined us today, and they will be happy to answer all your questions when we meet them later at the Food for the Poor booth. We have Mr. Stephen Williams, who received an apiary of 5 colonies in 2012, and now has over 85 colonies. We have Christine Ryan, who received 10 colonies in 2016 and increased to over 20. Unfortunately, flooding destroyed some of her colonies last year, but she now has 25 colonies. And she's using the byproducts from her hives to infuse natural herbs like spirulina, right, Mr. Spence? Guinea hen weed, right, Mr. Spence? And we also have Katisha Allen, who received 10 colonies in 2019 and now has over, listen to this, 200 colonies. She also, in 2021, received the Prime Minister's Youth Award for Agriculture and Agro-Processing. Ladies and gentlemen, in observing this year's theme, Be Engaged, celebrating the diversity of bees and beekeeping systems, we're mindful of the vital role of collaborations in sustaining the beekeeping industry, which is one of the fastest growing subsectors in agriculture at this time. In this regard, we want to thank all stakeholders involved, including the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, and more specifically the apicultural unit, for all their efforts to increase efficiency, productivity, and competitiveness in the local beekeeping industry. We must also commend the Forestry Department, their Forestry Department's tree planting initiative. Not only have they been planting fruit and lumber trees island-wide, which helps to provide food for the bees, but the lumber is also utilized to construct bee boxes. Special appreciation is also extended to beekeepers across the island for their hard work, resilience, and their contribution to the overall well-being of our nation. Round of applause for them. As the industry continues on a growth trajectory, Food for the Poor remains committed to support beekeepers and strengthening our collaborations for sustainable beekeeping. It is said that bee is symbolic of hard work, fertility, prosperity, generosity, and teamwork. So in the spirit of the word, let's continue to work together. Let's be engaged. Thank you.
It would be remiss of me if I did not acknowledge that my dear neighbor, Mrs. Burgess, about how many years ago, I'm not sure how many years ago, said to me, she called my wife and said, I have some bees from Food for the Poor, would you like some? And my wife came and told me, please find somewhere to put the 5 boxes of bees. And that was how many years ago, thanks to Food for the Poor, that I also am a beekeeper. And I'd just like to also ask any beekeepers from Kingston St. Andrew, if you would like to just stand, please, just to acknowledge yourself here so we can see how many are being represented. Thank you very much. And also our able Secretary Ruth Lowe there, who takes care of everything. I only talk, she does all the hard work. Thank you.
That's very good. Give them another round of applause. What a bumblebee you are. I can see they recognize you from early in school. And you eventually end up just where you love, writing Food for the Poor, dealing with bee matters. Boy, give them all a round of applause again. Very good. Just want to quickly recognize final set of recognition as we make preparation for a cultural item from the Queen's School. We have some persons that are displaying with us. I mentioned them as special guests also, but the Forestry Department is here. Food for the Poor, JDF Clark, St. Jago Farm and Hardware Supplies Limited, Miss Christine Ryan, Apiculture and the Apiculture Unit. Please give them all a round of applause because they are there working hard and displaying with us this morning. So at this point in time, we're going to be entertained much more beyond what I am capable of doing. And so we want to welcome the team from this Queen's School. Please give them a round of applause.
Agriculture and the Inting by the Queen's School. now. Water it, make we reap our sow. Get a seed, plant it now. Water it, make we reap our sow. Agriculture the in thing. Everybody come and join in. Agriculture the in thing. Everybody start the planting. Plant the yam, banana and the sheen. Callaloo, tomato, string bean. Come now, use make we till the cycle. This security, the food turmoil. Agriculture the in thing. Everybody come and join in. Agriculture the in thing. Everybody start the planting. Listen up, let me tell you something. Start use up the drip system. The greenhouse and hydroponics to repel the crops. Yes, that is the trick. Agriculture the in thing. Everybody come and join in. Agriculture the in thing. Everybody start the planting.
Agriculture are the way to go. Make we grow what we eat and eat what we sow. Use technology and innovation to build agriculture in a few nation.
Remix! Send Andrew, you're top farmer. Agriculture, we are top farmer. In a few nation, we are promote agriculture. I'm a top farmer. If you're a top farmer, jump up and say agriculture. We are top farmer. If you're a top nation, if they promote agriculture. I'm a godfather. If you're a top farmer, jump up and say agriculture.
Young ladies from Queen School, do you have agriculture in your curriculum up there? You have the 4-H club. But do you have agriculture as a subject being taught with a school garden or anything like that? Huh? All right. All right. So if the performance of your students is anything to go by, they're saying that it is the way to go, and they're sending a clear message to the institution. Great. So what I would say from the ministry to you is that as soon as you are ready to get the program up and running, we'll help you to get yourself established. So if you are preparing to put in a chicken house, we'll put that in for you. If you are preparing to establish a garden, we'll give you everything that you need to establish the garden. So, you can go to your principal and let's have that discussion and let the principal know that the program will be established at no cost to Queens. You need to just write to us and let us know that you are ready. Okay? Yes. And I would love to see these young ladies engage in what they're preaching here today. It's if even if you just want to simply start with a bee colony, Food for the Poor will jump to it like yesterday. Give them another round of applause. Thank them very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the economic contribution of bees is being extolled, well known. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, the pollination of honeybee is valued at $14 billion annually. Here in Jamaica, the apiculture industry is valued at some $2 billion. So the people who are in the apiculture business, don't make them fool you. Them a millionaire. Plenty millionaire walking around. Looking simple like Spence and him team from Kingston and St. Andrew. The estimated return on investment in bees, is upwards of 23%. So that means, once you put it in and you give it attention, you keep the frogs away from it. I never even know that frogs used to go into the thing and still continue to go there and eat the bees. Frogs, can you imagine that? And One of the biggest threats which we have mentioned, we say human. But when we say human being, we are talking about what we do to the environment. But you know that bees, boxes and hives are stolen. You know the predial larcenists that find it quite lucrative to be dabbling in that area. I wonder if we couldn't get some of the more aggressive type, we set them up. Anyway, I hear Mr. Simit say we can't do that because those strains will drive the fear into more persons while they should be getting into the more calmer types of bees and encouraging people to get into it. But the ministry, as I have indicated to the Queen's School and to you all here, we continue to add value to the industry as best as we can. The exploits and the contribution of both RADA and the unit headed by Mr. Smith out at Borders is well recognized. And I hear Mr. Spence mention that when people call nowadays, they are calling to come and take the bees hive away from their windows or homes or wherever, offices, rather than calling the pest control people. And I have had that experience, and I think it is a tremendous change in the culture and the psyche of what is happening. So we are cognizant of the contribution to the economy, and we have been spearheading several initiatives towards supporting a safe beekeeping and a productive society as a result of their health and well-being. But with us this morning is Honorable Franklin Witter, a man that is a farmer, a man that is close to agriculture, a man that lives in the parish of St. Elizabeth, the breadbasket parish, producing the highest per capita volume of produce in the country consistently. And if he is farming, it simply means that he must appreciate and respect bees. I now invite our Minister of State to give us some insight into some of the initiatives that the ministry has been executing regarding bees. Please make welcome Honorable Franklin Witter.
Thank you very much, Permanent Secretary Spence. I've been noticing a trend, Mr. Spence. Every time the ladies spoke to anything with regards to potency, your name is being called. But that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. I will speak to the ladies after the function. Mr. Spence, the bee farmer from St. Andrew. I was happy when you mentioned about the persons calling you to come and collect the bees, because I was kind of wondering in recent times what is really happening, because I remember when I was growing up as a boy, we used to see the hive come in, and we used to see it coming, and then you will hear the noise in the community. Yes, that the hive is coming, and then where they land, then everybody's trying to get there to, see if we can catch them. So I'm very happy that that interest is rebuilding, because I love honey very much. I drink a quart of honey every month. Yes, so I love honey, so I'm glad that you're taking care of the bees and producing the honey for us.
Say something about your vegan vitality.
As I said, I will speak to the ladies after the function. Yes. And I just want to say to the beekeepers who are here this morning that the ministry will be giving out some fruit trees today to help in your production, and therefore you can contact the ministry before you leave and make arrangement to collect your trees. Mr. Dermot Spence, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. Mr. Hugh Smith, Chief Plant Protection Officer, Apiculture Unit Research and Development Division. Ms. Carla Douglas, Acting Principal Research Director, Research and Development Division. Ms. Marsha Johnson, Country Director, Partners of America, Jamaica Farmer to Farmer Program. Mr. Julian Spence, President, Kingston and St. Andrew Bee Farmers Association. Ms. Kivette Silvera, Co-Executive Director, Food for the Poor. Mr. Mike and Mary McCockin, Trees and Feed Foundation. They are joining us virtually. And all the bee farmers who are here, and especially invited guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. I'm very happy to be here today sharing in this special celebration of World Bee Day 2022. I'm indeed even more happy given the fact that I am here as a part of the team at a time when this is our first function celebrating World Bees Day. Indeed, agriculture is a diverse sector with many interconnected areas that play an unmistakable role in driving growth and contributing to the food security of our nation. Beekeeping industry is one of those areas. I am happy today to be sharing in this event as we focus on this spotlight. Though bees are relatively small creatures, they are powerful and offer many benefits that contribute to the functioning of a healthy environment and by extension the agricultural sector. As chief pollinators, bees play a great role in fertilizing a significant number of the plant's need for food production. They are also well known for their ability to produce the much loved product, honey. And as I mentioned before, I am one of the lovers of honey. And earlier it was mentioned that Mr. Spence's mouth sounds so sweet this morning that he would have taken maybe more than just a teaspoon of honey. I'm pleased to know that Jamaica has a growing beekeeping industry with over 67,000 colonies managed by beekeepers. And I want to commend the beekeepers here this morning for keeping the industry alive. This, I'm sure, has contributed to Jamaica's steady output in honey production, leading to us being recognized as the main producer of honey in the English-speaking Caribbean. This is admirable and should serve as a motivation to continue on the path of supporting apiculture and facilitating an even more modernized industry. As a ministry, we are aware of the importance of bees and beekeeping within agriculture. Through our apiculture unit in the Research and Development Division, I can confidently say that significant work is being done to ensure that beekeeping industry is supported and remains viable. So we at the ministry, we understand the importance of beekeeping, and we are here to give whatever support we can. Special attention is being given to the strengthening and safeguarding of the national honeybee stock. This species of bees is integral in the production of 5 other hive products, in addition to honey, pollen, royal jelly, beeswax, propolis, and venom. In recent times, our bee population has been threatened, and we have always been emphasizing the impact of climate change on agriculture on a whole, and that has also been impacting the production of bees. There's also the introduction of new pests and disease and the exposure to harmful pesticides. And as was mentioned earlier, we must continue to have safe practice in terms of how we use the pesticide so we don't impact our bee population. Climate change has resulted in reduced habitat and food sources. In fact, this year's honey crop, particularly from St. Elizabeth, experienced low production due to climatic events such as excessive rainfall and high wind, just to name a few. As we work to eliminate some of these threats to our honeybee, part of our efforts include the sourcing of over 2,000 fruit trees, and I've just mentioned a while ago that we'll be giving out those fruit trees today. We have distributed which have been distributed by the Apiculture Unit and various beekeepers association throughout Jamaica. This was done in selected residential areas, farmers holding areas, and public green spaces aimed at replenishing the habitat for bees. Research and development is also a major part of our efforts in protecting our honeybees. Through our apiculture unit, we have been engaging in research activities to assess our national honeybee stock for the presence of Africanized bees, a hybrid species of the western honeybee, which is very, very invasive and more aggressive. To date, DNA samples have been collected from our honeybees for genetic analysis. Preliminary results have been received, and a final report will be made to the stakeholders as soon as DNA tests are completed in full. Africanized bees pose a threat to the productivity of the honeybee colony, as well as public safety and domesticated animals. As a precautionary measure, this has fueled the development of a national action plan to combat the entry of the management of Africanized bees. This includes the mapping of colony movements, installation and monitoring of interception traps, determination of the African lineage of the local stock, and training of stakeholders. It is against this background that we are also doing the necessary work to maintain 4 lines of queens with superior hygienic productivity and temperament characteristic at the Bogles Research Station to replenish and safeguard our honeybee population. Regulating the bee industry continues to be an area of focus for the ministry, and so we are continuing efforts to increase the registration of apiaries island-wide. To support this, a digital registration link has been developed on the ministry's website to facilitate ease of doing business with the apiculture unit. As it relates to the issuing of permits for the transportation of beehives, data show that for the period 2021, 36 permits were granted for the movement of 339 honeybees colonies across Jamaica. The parish of St. Catherine accounted for the most colonies moving out, and St. Elizabeth is recorded as the parish that received the most colonies. These two parishes are recorded as having the most beekeepers and the greatest investment level. The management of pests, such as the varroa mites and the small hive beetles, also forms a great part of the work being done by the apiculture unit. This is executed through active on-farm training initiatives, and I'm very happy to report that the infestation to date remains at a very manageable level. The ministry also continues to drive to eliminate the dreaded American foul brood disease, AFB, that affects honeybees. During the last financial year, over 16,000 routine hives inspections were carried out in 1,220 apiary visits across the island for AFB. From these inspections, no clinical symptoms of disease were detected during the period. The work continues as we seek to maintain the safety of our honeybee population. Field inspection, I'm also pleased to note that field visits done by the apiculture unit have also increased for the financial year 2021-22. During that period, approximately 1,200 field visits were conducted in comparison to a total of 421 in the previous year. Field visits, ladies and gentlemen, are important as they help to assess and maintain the standards of our apiaries. It is therefore our intention to ensure that these visits are maintained and increased. In addition to field visits, supporting bee farmers with the necessary knowledge and beekeeping technology across the industry is also very important. This has been done through the on-farm demonstrations by the apiculture unit for the period 2021-2022. 196 fields demonstrations have been conducted. As we work to strengthen our honeybee population, part of the strategy must also include increasing the number of apiaries across the island. In that regard, 145 new apiaries were established during the period 21-22. This accounts for 2,100 colonies of bees. And we would have gone through the COVID, we still are in it, the COVID pandemic. And the bee industry was not spared. Every sector was affected by the COVID pandemic. And as I've said, the bee industry was not spared. So the ministry has taken on the initiative of giving support to the bee farmers who would have been negatively impacted. The beekeeping industry was also affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, as I've said. And I'm pleased to note that support was given to farmers through the ministry's sugar subsidy project, through the allocation of $500,000. 190,000 50 kg bags of sugar was purchased and distributed to beekeepers island-wide to assist with their colonies. The beekeeping industry is a lucrative one which has the potential to be a game changer for the agricultural sector. Over the last 4 years, more than $200 million has been invested in honeybee colonies and hive parts through collaborative projects. While this is a noteworthy investment, which has done well to give the sector good footing, more is needed to transform this industry and to modernize and to improve the facilities. As we chart the way forward, our focus must be on improving standardization of processing facilities and safe handling of hive products, increasing primary production of bee products by the community members, improving biosecurity with relevance to the beekeeping trade, and driving the modernization of the AP unit. This will take time, and of course, collaborative effort, however, it can be done. Additionally, serious consideration must also be given to the development of additional value-added products from bees in areas such as skin care and cosmetic, agro-processing, and health and wellness. I use this opportunity to commend the team within the apiculture unit led by the Chief Plant Protection Officer, Mr. Hugh Smith, and I want us to put our hands together for them, for the work that we have been doing in supporting the beekeeping industry. I salute as well the farmers, the primary players, who are keeping the industry together. You have stayed the course during these challenging times. You have stayed the course and continue to produce excellent output. I wish to commend also the other stakeholders who have invested in driving the value-added arm of bee production. As we seek to build a robust and resilient agricultural sector, the ministry remains committed to supporting the development of our beekeeping industry. And so this year, a subsidy of $10 million, which is a 100% increase over last year. A subsidy of $10 million will be given to our farmers in the bee industry. A 100% increase is a very substantial increase. I know that this will go a far way in supporting the drive towards modernizing the industry. This industry is one that is integral to supporting livelihoods and building communities. And so it must be maintained. And that is why we are giving the kind of support that we are giving to ensure that the industry continue to improve and do well. My hope is that we will leave here today with a great appreciation for bees and the value of the industry, as well as the work that has been set in motion to strengthen and protect this industry. Let us continue to work together and build the right partnership that will boost the potential of the beekeeping industry and foster a vibrant cohort of beekeepers in Jamaica. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Franklin Whittle, Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. Please give the Minister another round of applause. Minister, they were swallowing very hard when you outlined the 100% increase to a substantial amount of $10 million. Somebody was whispering in my ears whether or not there was any last year. I said, well, you need to recognize a 100% increase. So it must have been $5 million last year. As I recall it, though, there was a special request from the beekeepers for support for sugar to assist in feeding the bees. And so the money that is being announced is really to that particular activity. But in an overall way, you will understand that all the efforts and all the support that goes into the industry far exceeds $10 million. And that's what is important. So the farmers are encouraged to contact the bee unit and to try to access that particular grant towards enhancing the feeding of the bees during the time when the pollen and the flowering and all of these things are down. Or in the event, since we are in the hurricane season, that there is I would call it a breeze blowing event for now, because we're not encouraging nor wishing nor planning for a hurricane. I mean, we have to plan to protect ourselves, but we're really not wishing for any to come or hoping that any will come. So that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. So there's something that I would like to tell you though. At this very spot, we were last week speaking about the importance of plants, and it was a plant health day. And today is Bees Day. So what is coming out, as people try to understand, a lot of talk in the media about food security and what is the country doing for food security, is that we are a multifaceted. Agriculture is so multifaceted, it's not funny. And that appreciation puts a lot of pressure on the system to deliver. Because we are here with an interest today, and we were here last week with another interest. But if anything is taken from both our ministers' messages, what it is saying is that Jamaica as a country is a very resilient country. Our farmers, bee farmers as well as our food crop farmers, have been very strong and have produced the highest level of production recorded in this country during a pandemic. And sometimes we don't shout about what we do as much as we should. And so some of the people who have the ears of the media and who are the social media leaders get out there and talk. Just talk. But while you are talking, we are doing. Just like the bees, we are busy working away regardless of what environment we are in. But take note that a major program of enhancing production and productivity. Right, Dr. Lowe? Production and productivity. Because the food crops that we sometimes ignore, although you hear the Queen's student talking about it, plant up the yam, plant up the banana, eat up the thing, callaloo and all of these kinds of things, can be a substitute for just about anything that you can imagine importing into this country and that you would be worried about because there's a war elsewhere. The lands are here, and what we need is investment in this sector. And people must put their money where their mouth is and invest in agriculture. Thousands of acres of land, even in the agri parks, underutilized. Yet still every day we are out there promoting that lands are available for investment. Let's get going because we can do it. Look at honey. Interesting to note that Jamaica exports honey to where? Several countries, United Kingdom, USA, Bermuda, US Virgin Island. But here it is. We have had access to the EU market for over 20 years and not one drop of honey has reached the EU market as yet. Just the other day, the veterinary services called me. Dr. Watson and Mr. Spence, we have been paying for this for the past 25 years. Should I continue to keep the access open for Jamaican honey? And let me tell you, Jamaican honey is regarded, not certified and recognized, but regarded as organic honey. Naturally occurring organic honey. And in terms of quality, the tests have shown that Jamaica has one of the best. We're in the top 5 in terms of the quality of honey. I mean, things like water content and you know the nice things about it. But we have that market sitting there and have not been accessing that market. As a matter of fact, sometimes you can't even find the amount of honey that you want to drink. You hear the minister say what? For his own purposes, vim, vitality and vigor, he consumes a quart of honey every month. And he can't get enough. Yes, sometimes you're out there, you want a bottle, you can't find a bottle of honey. So guys, let's get on top of it. We are able to do it. But we must protect this industry. You hear about all the disease and all this kind of thing, when they happen around the world, we have to ensure that we have strict regulations in place to prevent them from coming here. And that is why we are going to continue to strengthen the regulatory component of what we do to ensure that we don't have any invasion of our country with respect to things that will attack and diminish our capability in the area of bee production. So ladies and gentlemen, in closing, and I'm no politician, I just like to say a little something from time to time. I wish to express my appreciation to all of you. Such a lovely audience on this Friday morning. You know, I have some good friends, you know, and sometimes I see them around. I don't know their connection with what we are doing. I have a good friend in the back there. His head is down. Yes. I know him to be involved in construction of pig house and all different kind of things. And them I know that you have nothing to do with bees, brother. You do. Good to see you. So, special thanks to all of you. And it is our pleasure to have had you here this morning. Those that are physically with us and those that are online. And we just want to wish for you a pleasant rest of day. Remember that as you leave here today, you're entitled to a plant. Because to encourage the sustainable development of the honey bee keeping sector, you need to plant a tree on a regular basis. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day, and I thank you all for being here. Remember now that as you collect that plant, the minister is going to be demonstrating how you should plant it. And so he's going to use all of that vim, vigor, and vitality and put his back into the soil today to plant a tree. Yeah. So we're going in the demonstration of planting a tree. Let's go across there and remember to collect your plant before you leave. Thank you all very much.
The importance of bees is that they are crucial to our food system. So from almonds all the way to zucchini, if we don't have good, healthy honeybees, we won't have good, healthy crops.
vigor and vitality, ladies and gentlemen, as a result of the consumption of honey. Yes. All right. Come on. Look at the top of the
and 2 for this one?
Or 3-7. 3-7 and 2-7.
Yeah. I also want to come in and say, I'm Mr. Clark, owner of GDF Clark Bee Farm, and we have several doctors that we work with. The doctors use our products, especially these in surgery. As well, and eczema, extremely good for eczema, and all of that. But we are finding out, now we are getting from Dr. Marsh that she recommended this for one of our patients for COVID.
Some of them.
Alright, don't say my name just yet. Let me know why you're here.
Sorry.
I understand.
They want it and really genuinely need it and to find a group, it's not hard to find.
I'm between this and this, transfer, I'm between this and this. What you need?
Have these like bumps.
Some genetics tested now.
You are the first time farmer. There is with a wide range of our office located at 22 Sydenham Commercial.
Or 42 Wellington Street.